You're ready for this?
Yo, who's the daddy? Easy guys, Dom here from Cringy Dad Gaming. So in this video we're just going to be looking at some of my optimal graphics settings that I'm using for Cyberpunk 2077. The settings I'm using here gave me a good mix of graphics and frames per second, usually getting 60 plus frames per second with ray tracing on, and I'm running an RTX 2070 card with an i7-8700, 32GB of RAM, and running this on a 2K monitor. So 2560 by 1440. Those of you running 1080p resolution, you might squeeze out some extra frames per second. But in the game menu itself, there is actually a couple of performance options that you can look at here, which is crowd density, which you can turn from low up to medium or high, and also a slow hard disk drive mode. So if you're using a standard HDD rather than a solid state drive, that option may also help improve performance. But now going into the graphics settings, we're just going to have a look at the basic section here. Film grain off and chromatic aberration off, because that just made the picture a little clearer for me. Depth of field on, because that didn't really affect my frames, but lens flare and motion blur off. Contact shadows on, improved facial lighting geometry off. Anisotropy, if that's how you even say it, at 16. Local shadow mesh quality at high. Local shadow quality at high, cascaded shadow range high. We've got cascaded shadows resolution at high and distant shadow resolution at low. Then we're running volumetric fog resolution at ultra and volumetric cloud quality off. Max dynamic decals ultra, screen space reflections quality at ultra, subsurface scattering quality at high, ambient occlusion at high, color precision high, mirror quality high, and level of detail high. With ray tracing on, but the ray trace reflections, shadows and lighting off. Resolution scaling at balanced for the DLSS. Now I found these settings to be optimal for me. Everyone else is going to probably find it's going to run slightly different dependent on your system. I did find that the reflections in the game using the ray tracing on option was still good, and it still lifted the water that was on the floor in terms of seeing slight reflections from things walking past. But I did find that if I turned any of those higher settings on, it did dip my performance down quite a bit. I was getting around 30 frames per second if I was to switch any of those other ray tracing options on. Although the puddles looked really good with the reflection detail in them, the game just run pretty pants for me. So I just decided that this was the best mix for me of, having that kind of like shine coming from windows and puddles, but keeping higher frame rate and, crisp graphics. There are a few other things that you can do as well to increase your PC's performance, such as going into the Windows graphics setting and adding the game to that and then choosing performance mode. Or also downloading something like Razer Cortex as an example, which would give you the boost option that just closes down any unneeded programs that are running in the background, allowing the game to run a little bit better. The game itself just looks fantastic, and CD Projekt Red could potentially enhance or optimize the game further in future. And who knows, Nvidia may also increase the performance of the ray tracing in future patches. If you've got any questions on settings or anything like that, then don't forget to pop them in the comments of the video. Watch this space for more Cyberpunk 2077, and I'll catch you guys on another video. Thanks for watching.
You're ready for this?
Yo, who's the daddy?